Modern warfare has become drone warfare. That's really developed over there in Ukraine. That's something we've been watching closely. Truthfully, that's one of the reasons we get involved in what seems like every war that pops up somewhere. Have you noticed that the wars that we do get involved with, it's always pitting our weapons against Russian and Chinese weapons? We don't get involved in the little wars that go on over there in Africa because of the fact that it's no chance to test our weapons. Unfortunately, the only way to develop our weapons and keep them cutting edge is to test them against the enemies, the most likely potential enemies for us. By us working with Ukraine early on, we got to see how well our weapons performed against Russia. Well, we found out, and it's really become a battlefield of the drones today. Unfortunately, that is how Iran is keeping the Straits of Hormuz shut down, and it's screwing up the economy for the entire world. Iran is a lot more trouble than what they're worth. The problem is we can't go in there and just lay waste to the whole thing because all along we've never wanted to attack the Iranian people. The only way we can go in there and cluster bomb this thing and really put a stop to it is if we're attacking all the Iranians. We cannot do that. The problem we've got now, the reason the Straits of Hormuz is still shut down, they're taking these little drones, they call them suicide drones. They're just a one-trip machine, and they can send them out. They can launch them from the mountains along the hundreds of miles of coastline that are within reach of the Straits of Hormuz. They can launch these drones, and you can't go back and take out the launcher because they don't have the heat signal that the missiles do. With the missiles, they have to have the truck launcher or some kind of launcher. And you can track that launcher backwards through the heat signal and blow it up. They've been doing that. That's how they've taken all them out. You don't have that with the drones. You just launch the drone. They don't have that big heat signal. There's no fancy launcher to send them up there. Boom, there's nothing to attack. Of the four ships that got hit, the four merchant ships that were hit there in the Straits, two of them we didn't even know what hit them. That was drones. The problem with the drones is they can fly below radar. When they don't leave a heat signal on launch and they fly below radar, you don't know they're around until a ship blows up. There is nothing you can do to open those straits. Not as long as the drones are still a threat. The companies that own the trade ships, the tankers and the merchant ships, the ones that carry the cargo containers, they don't want to send their ships through there and lose the people and lose the equipment. I don't blame them for that. Their insurance companies, a lot of that is Lloyd's of London, they don't want to insure ships that are going through there. They tell them, you go through there, you're not insured. I don't blame them. It's a death run. It's running a gauntlet. There is no secure way to get through there. You can't blame anybody for not wanting to go through. Trump thought he could alleviate the problem, or he hoped he could, by using emergency measures for some funds that we already keep available for things like that so we could insure the trade. He hoped that us guaranteeing insurance on the ships that went through there was enough, but they still don't want to lose the ships. They don't want to lose the people. The world economy doesn't need to lose a bunch of cargo ships and tankers. We don't need the ecological disaster of all those tankers getting blown up over there in the sea. There's just nothing good about it. So we have to do something different. This is the problem when wars start. You don't know where the problems are coming from. But the truth is, I think we didn't know how many drones they actually had hidden around the mountains. People are saying Trump didn't have a plan for this. You can't know everything in advance. I think we've been surprised by the fact that there's a lot more of these little suicide drones hit around out there than what we ever anticipated. You can do all the intel, all the research you want. You never get everything. That's why they call it the fog of war. You have to adapt as the situations arise. However, I will say, and anybody that follows this channel knows that I've been saying all along, it would not be over in 2 weeks. It wouldn't be just a fast, easy job because of the fact they have these types of weapons. I've said it all along. It's not going to be fast. It's not going to be as easy as people think. There's no way we could win it with air power. The military guys have been the first ones to say all along that you cannot win a war with just air power. To clean up, it always takes boots on the ground. That's old, it's well known, it's a doctrine. Trump was hoping that the people of Iran could rise up, but they're unarmed. They just killed 37,000 of those people. They can't rise up. If you ask them to rise up now, you're asking tens of thousands to go in the streets and be shot down by the countless small arms weapons that are still possessed by the million-man army of the IRGC that is still on the streets of Iran. You can't ask people to go challenge an army unarmed. They have nothing but sticks and stones. Now here we are over there in the Straits of Hormuz with international trade shut down. It's affecting the oil markets. Everybody knows it. And, you run up the cost of oil, then all the products that move with oil go up. Something's got to be done to open that strait. Boots on the ground. Unfortunately, that's what it takes. It's going to take boots on the ground. You got to get in where those drones are, and you got to take them out. You got to find them. The only way you can find them is to have people looking for them. Yes, Trump has promised all along that there would not be boots on the ground. Well, unfortunately, in war, things change sometimes. Abraham Lincoln ran into this same problem during the Civil War a couple of different times, but one of the biggest times, Edwin Stanton, who was his Secretary of War, told Abraham Lincoln, you said you would not have a draft. The people are not going to be happy with the draft. This is in 1863. Lincoln says, well, I made a bad promise. Now the war is different. Well, that's kind of where Trump is. Lincoln initiated the draft. He promised not to. He had to. Sometimes in war, things change, and that's where we're at. That's why they call it the fog of war. You never know going in where it's going to go. You don't know how big it's going to get. You don't know what kind of problems you're going to encounter. But you have to adapt when you see the problems. We have seen the problem is these drones, and the response from Trump and Hegseth has been to deploy an amphibious assault group from the amphibious assault ship, the Tripoli, which was over in Japan. Now it's been deployed over there. There's different reports. The reports vary from 2,500 to 5,000 amphibious assault Marines. These guys are trained to storm beaches, get on ground, and get business taken care of. And they do it. They do it very well. They do it better than anybody on earth. We all know that. You don't mess with our Marines. And these guys are special troops trained for a special kind of job. They've got to get up there in the mountains. They've got to find where the drones are hidden. They got to find who is launching them, how they're moving them around. You got to have somebody on the ground to do it. They've got to have people in there targeting these things. They've got to tell our forces where to hit. We know that we can take them out. We know that we can send a missile down a 4-inch pipe if we want to. We've done that too many times, but you've got to know where that target is. You've got to know. Right now, we don't know, or we'd already taken them out. This is the problem that we had over in Afghanistan. Trump is acutely aware of this. He's not going to let this turn into an Afghanistan. But we had the same problem. And Afghanistan borders Iran. It's the same type of terrain in a lot of cases. So we've got these mountains, several hundred miles of these mountains that border the shoreline along the Straits of Hormuz and the surrounding area. They can hide these drones up there with the guys. We chased the Afghanistan rebels, the Taliban, whatever you want to call them. We chased them around the hills for 20 years and couldn't get them all. But the problem there was the small arms they had too. They had the IEDs. They had a lot of rocket-propelled grenades and things like that. Those things, the types of weapons that we couldn't get out of Afghanistan, they're a threat to the ships in the Hormuz. It's the missiles, it's the drones. We've taken out the missiles. The only way to get the drones is to get in there and get them. There's going to be a lot of guys left in the hills that are still going to have small weapons. They're going to have grenades. They're going to have RPGs. But they can't take out the ships. We've got to stop them from taking out the ships. It's just got to be done. One thing about having Trump president, you do not interfere with business. Not on his watch. He will kill you. You do not want to be. he considers them terrorists. You don't want to be IRGC interfering with international trade. And these guys, they just seem to have a kill me complex. They just seem to be suicidal with their intentions and their ambitions. They're just foolish because Trump is coming. He's coming. He's bringing the Marines, and they're going to end this thing. It's going to clean it up. It's going to be ugly. A lot of people in America are going to be mad because, yes, he said there weren't going to be boots on the ground. Well, sometimes there has to be, and this is one of those cases. Unfortunately, this is one thing that I hope Trump learns is you can't talk ahead of yourself. He shouldn't talk as much as he does because when he says some things, they come back to haunt him later. This is going to haunt him later. But boots on the ground are the right thing to do. It's absolutely necessary. Otherwise, all the work we've already done was for nothing. You cannot defeat Iran. You cannot open up the Straits of Hormuz without some boots on the ground. I don't believe that we should invade their entire society and try to take out that million-man army. That isn't our job. But we do need to open up these straits, and you can't do that from the air. We've already found that out. We've already tried. It didn't work. We can't keep sitting, twiddling our thumbs, waiting to see if there's some other solution when we've already found out there isn't. I trust Access. I trust Trump in this situation. It's going to be necessary. I pray that these guys are all right when they get in there. We don't need any more casualties. We've had 13 already. We've been fortunate that that's the low number. It's a big number for the 13 families that lost these people. We don't want to lose any more. Pray for the safety of these soldiers as they go in there. And God bless them. I hope they get the job done. They will get it done. I hope they get it done without casualties. But right now, be prepared for the amphibious invasion that we're going to have to launch. Pray that they get it right. We got to get it right. And if we do, maybe God will continue to bless this great country of ours. Thanks for listening.